Hi, everyone. Is someone there? Let's see. Okay, we are live on Facebook.
Share it on my Facebook.
Yes. Um, Let me get the link for you. I don't know if I can get the link.
No, your Facebook is under
Oh,
Barnes or
yeah.
Doherty.
K Barnes. Oh, thank you for saying it. Actually, facebook.com/KBarnesRE.
Oh wow, I can see myself.
You are here. All right. If you are joining us, type in the chat box. We are going to start on time to be respectful of your time. How you feeling today, Otis?
I'm doing very well. Doing very well. It's been a very productive day here from it's a long travel to come all the way from the back room into my office in the front. Traffic was heavy.
Right.
But nonetheless, it's been a really good day thus far. How about yourself?
It's been good. It's been good. You know, I have my 2-year-old, so I'm not sure. I have to kind of work around her schedule. Everything revolves around her.
Yeah, that's the boss.
It's the boss. But it was good. It was good. It's definitely productive. I hop on a couple of webinars, just trying to get a lot of information because there's so much going on, of course.
In real time, it's just like clicking, everything is changing and happening.
So, you have to kind of filter out the stuff that'll get you all panicky, and
Oh my goodness. Oh, you are not lying about that.
because I'm good, but sometimes it's just like, oh, too much. Turn off everything.
Yeah.
Let me just
No,
take a walk.
absolutely. I just had to talk to my daughter. I just got off the phone with her. She's gonna be 13 in 14 days, and
Wow.
she's like, she told me she was watching. And I told her, baby, you gotta make sure you don't consume yourself with too much of this. You know what I
Right.
mean? She's like, no, I'm staying focused on work, and thank goodness she's able to through Google Classroom. She's still active in schoolwork and things like that. But yeah, it's so much out there to consume you and have you crippled mentally in no time. So
Of course. All right. Well, it is 7 o'clock, so we are going to get started. My name is Keanna Barnes, and this is my lender, Otis Milton.
hello everyone.
So we just wanted to just come to you because just a break from the news of what's going on and to get into something that a lot of people love to talk about. I know I like to talk about real estate. Um, and only because this too shall pass. We don't want to disregard everything that is going on because it is very serious. I hope you are taking it seriously. I personally know people who have been tested positive for the virus, and it's just really just a it's just a crazy situation going on right now, right, Otis? I mean, like this is just crazy time. I don't. Nothing has ever happened like this before. So
No, this is uncharted territories. I mean, from every aspect. I mean, we're gonna talk about how it's affecting our particular industry, right? But I mean, just across the board, I don't think there's a living soul on this earth today that's ever experienced something of this magnitude, of this sort. So no, this is something that nobody's ever seen. Nobody has a crystal ball, to know
right,
how the outcome of this will all end. So we just encourage everybody to continue to take all the precautions to make sure that you're safe and you stay healthy, and follow the regards. Please, please, please stay inside if you can. And just take all the precautions because we don't know kind of what we're up against.
exactly, exactly. So all right, let's get started. Let me see how I can. I'm gonna hide you, but you should be able to still say something. And I think you can mute your mic if you want to.
Okay.
I'll bring you back up. Let me switch that around. All right. Can you see that? Can you see my screen? Yes. All right. Okay. Basically, we are going to go over just how to prepare to purchase a property um, after all of this is gone, because this too shall pass, and it seems like it's just they keep prolonging. I know uh, Trump just issued another 30-day notice. Was that yesterday, Otis? I'm not sure, but this too shall pass. Just know 2 days ago. I mean, the days are running together right now. Today is what, March 31st, and I think it's Tuesday, and we're just trying to get through everything. So I want to bring some value to just what is going on in the real estate market, because I'm no health professional at all, but I do. We are both real estate professionals, so we just want to kind of bring you just a different take on what's going on in the market today, and how you can position yourself if you do plan on purchasing property um, after all this is over, even during, because as we'll discuss, people are still buying homes. People still buy homes, believe it or not. I mean, life goes on. People still have to buy. People still have to sell, and transactions are happening every day. So I just want to know, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Like, what's one word to describe your last 2 weeks? You have a word to describe your last 2 weeks, Otis? You got to turn off the.
A roller coaster, for personally, what I mean? I transitioning with my children, I have two smaller children, who are in academics in school and daycare and things of that sort. Their life has been altered and changed. So realistically, it's been a roller coaster, constant adjustment every day to what's happening. What I mean? Our entire lifestyles have been altered, and so it's really just adapting more than ever. Taking time for yourself has been super important in the midst of all this, because it can get out of hand for you really quickly, But if I had to, if I had to sum it up in one thing, it's this last 3 weeks has literally been a roller coaster, and we'll talk a little bit about that in more detail when we get to the mortgage section. Um, because I mean the mortgage section has been a roller coaster. It's been a free fall. It's been a bungee jump, and you don't know if the cord is long enough. There's just so much that's kind of been happening over the last couple of weeks, and things happen in real time. You know what I mean? Like we went from things that weren't an issue a week ago to they're an issue today. You know, so yeah. If anything, I'd say the up and down roller coaster is kind of what I've been on.
Right, right. And I see Jenny puts in the comments up and down, taking it one day at a time, and that's all we can do. You know, that's all we can do. Um, I mean, because it's just pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy right now. Let's see. All right, so I mean, like I said, it's been a roller coaster ride, but this too shall pass. So my name is Keanna Barnes. If you are just now joining us, my name is Keanna Barnes. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams, Silicon Beach, out here in Los Angeles. And I was actually first licensed as a realtor in Atlanta in 2006. And over the years, I've purchased personally 5 homes. I don't have them all right now because a lot of those were purchased during the 2008, right before that 2008 housing bubble burst. And that's something that was interesting time. And this is not like that time, as I'll go through in some of the slides. Um, but I've been through that, like you said, like people have gone through or are going through job loss. I mean, I was a real estate agent. It kind of felt like overnight all my clients kind of went away because of everything that was going on in the housing market. And I just was not prepared. I was not prepared. I had tenants, I had investment property, and tenants stopped paying. I had my own personal property, and everything just went. It was just crazy. So I completely understand what that was like, and this is different. This is a lot different. I've lived in Los Angeles for over 10 years now, and I am married to my wonderful husband, and we have an amazing toddler. They left out just so you won't hear mommy, mommy, mommy in the background. And I love helping people reach their real estate goals. That's really the gist of it. I love helping people achieve their investment goals, their just personal home goals. It is a passion of mine, and I just really love it. You know, let's see. Otis, you want to pipe in for your
That's me. I lost my sound. Hello? I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. Keanna, give me a text. Let me know if you guys can hear me.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think I was listening for your sound and it went out to make sure you guys can hear me. So thank you. My name is Otis Milton, and I'm a loan officer with Legacy Home Loans here out of the LA branch. We do have branches across the country. I have been in real estate just approaching 10 years now. I'm a father of 4 daughters, which means I have to work really, really, really hard because they like to have a lot of things and do a lot of things. I started out as a licensed real estate agent for about 6.5 years, 7 years, and I touched every kind of part of the business. I kind of came in on the back end of that 2008 crash, where I worked with a lot of foreclosures, a lot of REOs, and things of that sort. And through that, I joined a real estate organization. It's a national organization by the name of NARAD, and I've been fully entrenched in there. It's primarily an advocacy organization where the mantra is democracy and housing, and I've had the honor and opportunity to elevate into leadership. I'm currently the vice president for the California chapter. We have 10 chapters in that through that organization. It's a great organization, and so that's a little bit about what I'm doing currently. And I would love to announce that this I became the top producing loan officer in legacy home loans this month. So I want to thank all of my partners and all the clients that is giving me the opportunity to help them in such an important process of purchasing a home. So thank you, and continue to flood my business, and I will continue to reciprocate that. And that's a little bit about me, Otis, Milton, Legacy Home Loans, and I'm honored to be here with my partner Keanna Barnes. This is great that she set this platform up for us to share some knowledge with everyone, kind of let them know what's happening in real time with the current market in terms of real estate and mortgages, and really just to check in and tap in with everybody, see how everybody's doing. We'll keep it light, but we'll make sure we guys give you a lot of value and let you know what's happening right now.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you so much. I am going to switch over. Bear with me on this this shuffle of screens. Okay, today we are going to discuss the current Los Angeles market. I know we have people tuning in from all over, but we're going to talk about the current LA market and just the real estate market in general. We're also going to go through the home buying process, the current mortgage market, what's going on in the mortgage market, the home loan process, and then we're going to answer questions and answers for you. Okay. Make sure if you have any questions, you think about it, type it into the chat, and we'll get to them. Okay. So basically, in Los Angeles, like I said earlier, people are still buying and selling real estate, believe it or not. In California, real estate services were deemed essential as of March 28th. I believe that was Saturday. And within the last 24 hours, I took just a snapshot of the whole MLS system, not necessarily in a particular area or type of property, but there have been 103 new properties in the last 24 hours added to the MLS, available for purchase to the public. There have been 32 escrows opened, and 38 homes have sold within the last 24 hours. Price increase, seven properties have had a price increase, and 67 have had a price decrease within the last 24 hours. And the decrease is probably sellers just wanting to make sure that they get their homes looked at. And if, like I said, sellers have to sell, buyers have to buy, just making sure that they get their homes sold in whatever time frame that they have to get their homes sold. So that definitely does not surprise me at all. I wanted to kind of share this graph quickly. This is showing the equity that was cashed out before the 2008 housing crash and before this COVID coronavirus came about. Just showing a difference in how it's a different situation going on. Between 2005 and 2007, over $824 billion in equity was cashed out. That's a lot of money compared to the last 3 years, 2017 to 2019, only $232 billion in equity has been cashed out. And usually when people were cashing out in 2005 to 2007, this created a negative equity situation. Okay, so that means the amount of mortgage amount was greater than the value of the home, which led to a lot of foreclosures and short sales, which led to just the lowering of the value of home sales across all areas, a lot of areas. But we learned a lesson. We haven't been taking out as much equity out of our homes, as you can see. And there's still a lot of equity in the homes. I read there's about $500 billion in equity in homes right now. So we're still in a strong real estate market, especially when you compare 2008, right before 2008, to previous years, 3 years prior to what we're going on right now, what we're dealing with right now. So we're going to go over the home buying process. First, I always ask my clients, why do you want to buy a home? Because it's not enough just to say I want to buy a home, because the process can be long, it can be stressful, but it's my job as an agent to take as much stress off of you as possible to guide you through the home buying process. But I always want to know, what's the purpose of you buying a home? Because buying a home is a huge responsibility. There's no landlord to call when your washer goes out, when your garbage disposal is out, whatever, there's no landlord. You are the landlord, owner, occupant, everything, taxpayer, property taxpayer. You are it, okay? Um, One good reason is just to create generational wealth. Property is something that you can leave to your future generations, then they can do what they have, what they will with it. But you can teach them how to um, for them to create their own generational wealth so that you can pass this on from generation to generation. Because I think that's a lot of what is missing in today's communities, minority communities. Mortgage interest, tax deductions, that's another benefit. And also, you can use your equity in your home as your personal bank. Be smart about it. Don't be like we used to in 2008, or before 2008. But make sure you're smart about using your equity in your home. First step is to meet with a real estate professional. When we meet, we usually do, well, not usually, I always do a buyer consultation with my clients. And this is where we discuss what you want and what you need in a home, and we decide who are a good fit to work together. We get a snapshot of your financial preparedness, and this is a complimentary service to you. And of course, with everything going on right now, virtual buyer consultations are available. I do offer virtual buyer consultations. Real estate these days is something that you can do completely remotely, actually. People have purchased homes completely online, and that's the state we're in right now. So I definitely offer buyer consultations, virtual buyer consultations as well to my clients. Once we meet, I hand you off to my lender, and we get you pre-approved. And this is key because this is where we know how much money, how much house you can afford. And this is key to making sure that your home search is successful. Some of the basic financial documents that I look for, that I make sure my clients have: 2 years tax returns, 2 months bank statements, 2 months pay stubs, W-2. That'll get you started. That'll get you in the door and getting you pre-approved, filling out pre-approval, filling out the application to get approved, to get pre-approved. Um, and of course, Otis is going to go a lot over finances. We're going to get to that soon, because I know that's what you all want to know. Like, what about the money? So once we get you pre-approved, we know your number. That's when the fun begins. House hunting begins. This is when we search together for the perfect home based on your needs and wants. We can schedule showings, virtual showings right now, and we can visit open houses virtually. People are getting creative. Sellers are actually going through the property with FaceTime or with some type of video conferencing so that the buyers or prospective buyers can view the home without actually coming into the home, and keeping everyone safe, because we want to make sure that we can get out of this virus pandemic as quickly as possible, of course. After we find the perfect home for you, we make an offer, okay? And offers are more than price. Offers can include a timeline. Sometimes a seller has to stay back maybe 30 days because they're purchasing another property and they won't be ready for 30 days to purchase. They need this money from this home to purchase the next property. So they may ask for a lease back from you. So that can be a part of the offer. Offers can also include asking for closing costs. There are a lot of different things that go into an offer. So it's more than price. A lot of people get hung up on the price, but it's a little bit more than that. And you also have a possibility of multiple offer situations. The last few buyers I've had all had multiple offer situations, and we've won all of them because you have to have an agent who knows how to get your buyer offers accepted. And I can't give all my secrets out, but I make sure that I have my buyers in the best position to get their offers accepted on the home that they're looking for, on a home that they really like. And we also, of course, we don't overpay for homes, okay? But we also don't want to insult the seller. If a seller has their home listed for $500,000 and you want to put in an offer for $250,000, I mean, you know, we don't want to put ourselves out of the game before we even get in. So we want to make sure we don't insult the seller, and I also make sure that you don't overpay for the home, okay? So then we have negotiation and contract. So negotiation, this is just the beginning of negotiations. This is just agreeing upon the price, the terms, the conditions of the contract. And once the seller and the buyer agree on the terms, then a legally binding contract is entered. And once you have that legally binding contract, then you open escrow. Now, coming from Atlanta, we didn't have escrow. It was a little different. You work with lawyers, but here in California, we have escrow. And what is escrow? Escrow is basically a neutral third party that protects the transaction, that protects the integrity of the transaction. They make sure all the funds get dispersed where they need to go. Make sure you get your money. Make sure the seller gets their money. Make sure everybody gets what they need done. Make sure all the terms of the contract are executed as stated in the contract. This is when you deposit your earnest money. Earnest money can vary, depends on what's going on in the market, depends on the areas, depends on the type of property you're buying. Sometimes you require a larger earnest money than not, so it just depends. And I, of course, will guide you on all of this earnest money. And once you deposit your earnest money, your home is reserved for you until closing. Now, there are a lot of do's and don'ts in escrow, and I'm sure Otis will go over this as well. But make sure that you are expedient about getting your documents to the lender. They're going to be asking for a lot. The underwriters are going to be asking for a lot. And you have to make sure that you're getting this as soon as possible so that your deal can keep moving forward, because time is of the essence. Everything is on the timeline, okay? And time is of the essence in deals. Make sure that you keep in constant communication with your agent and your lender about any major changes that are going on. And also, don't make any major changes. Make sure you try to keep your job. Make sure that you are the best employee. This is not the time to slack off and be late. Make sure you show up. Good employee. After you get your home, then, you can shoot them the deuces or whatever. But while you're in escrow, make sure you try to keep your job. Excuse me. Also, make sure that you pay all of your bills on time. This is very key. I know a lot of times you may forget about a bill or whatever, but you have to pay your bills on time. Excuse me. I'm okay. Don't worry about it. Sorry about that. Just had something in my throat. But make sure that you pay your bills on time. Don't make any major purchases that will affect your debt to income ratio. And also make sure that you don't co-sign or open any new credit, because that will throw things for a loop, and then you'll be out of escrow faster than you got in. And we don't want that for you. So once you open escrow, this is when you start your due diligence. This is when you get your appraisal done, your home inspection done, and any other inspections that you want to do with the home. This is also when you can negotiate your repair request. Now, in California, every home is sold as is, meaning that the seller has no obligation to do anything, but you can negotiate. I negotiate on my client's behalf different repair requests. Some things may be required by the lender for the loan to close so you may have to do some things. So the seller can be willing to negotiate based on that. This is not the time to start saying, oh, I need new tile backsplash. Can you, repair that? No. These are things that are essential to making sure that the deal is closed, okay? And then make sure you get all your docs to the lender. After we get everything to the lender, and Otis, your lender is satisfied, then we have a clear to close. This is the best time when you have your clear to close. The stress is lessening off of you. And then we get your closing disclosure signed. 3 days later, you sign your loan documents. The next day, out here in California, this is the way it's done. The next day, the loan is funded. And the next day after that, your deed is recorded with the county. Now, this, it can happen in a different, quicker, which, you have to pay for it if you do something quicker. But this is essentially the steps to closing on your new home. After that, you are a new homeowner. Okay. So this is the basic home buying process. Of course, now everything is a little different. We have a lot of addendums and amendments that we have been presented with because of the coronavirus. And as an agent, I'm keeping on top of it to make sure that I'm protecting my buyers, to make sure I'm protecting my clients, buyers or sellers, to make sure that everything goes smoothly as possible and we get your home and we get your deal done. Okay. Next, I'm going to hand it off over to, if I can.
Awesome. I'm back in there. Okay, are you muted, Keanna? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you, Keanna, for that. That's very detailed. And yes, indeed, Keanna is a shark when it comes to negotiations. She definitely works hard for her clients and making sure that she puts them in the best position possible. And she's a great person, a great agent and asset to work with. And I truly love her hunger and wanting to get the absolute best for her clients. That's truly what it's all about, and she does a wonderful job at that. We've had many successful closings together, and I can't say that her work ethic is out of control. She works hard, man. She works hard, and so good job there, Keanna, and continue to work hard and strive for your clients. And success will continue to follow you. But again, as for those who maybe just have joined us live, my name is Otis Milton. I'm the lender with Legacy Home Loans. I'm out of the Los Angeles branch. We do have branches across the country. And, so that's a little bit about me. And so what we're going to talk about on my portion is we're going to talk about what's kind of happening in the current mortgage market, because things have been shaken up due to the pandemic that we're going through right now. Guidelines have changed. The topic of interest rates really splashed a few weeks ago once the Fed announced that they were cutting interest rates to zero. My phone would not stop ringing because everybody wanted to get a zero interest rate on their mortgage. Unfortunately, that is not the case. You cannot get a zero interest on your mortgage. We'll talk a little bit about that, and so you can have a deeper understanding of what that means. In terms of what happened with the Fed, right? So they didn't cut consumer interest rates to zero; they cut banking interest rates to zero. So a little bit about what's currently happening in the market right now. Right now, there's been a lot of updates and changes to FHA, right? And not from FHA, but lenders and banks through FHA. With the loomingness of forbearance of mortgages possibly happen, millions and millions of Americans across the country, are out of work right now, unfortunately. Unemployment is kind of skyrocketed at this point, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. So what banks are fearing now is that all these Americans choose to defer or put their mortgage in forbearance. And what that does is really shake up the marketplace, right? It scares investors that the market's not there and people are going to default on their loans, and they don't want to be stuck with a bunch of bad loans. So right now, you've seen a lot of lenders change their guidelines on FHA lending. We've seen the credit score requirement increase. I've seen as low as 640. I've seen as high as 680 as a minimum requirement score. Now, FHA's guideline stands 580 is the qualifying score minimum for FHA. At this point, banks are not doing 580. Banks aren't doing 600. If you're lucky, you find one that does 620. It looks like the minimum is kind of 640 across the board. I've seen some as high as 680. So that's super important. If you are gearing up and getting ready to purchase, make sure you're monitoring your credit, because nonetheless, it's a great time to buy because the competition is less right now in the marketplace. But if your credit score is not in place, you might have qualified 3 weeks ago for a program that you may not qualify today based on new guidelines that are happening. So again, and the last bullet point is that FHA has not changed their guidelines. Banks have changed theirs. Okay, you can go ahead to the next one, Keanna. Thank you. So these are your standard guidelines in terms of FHA. 3.5% down, that has not changed. You can still purchase a property up to 1 to 4 units with only a 3.5% down payment. That also works for that also works for townhomes and condominiums as well. 3.5% down payment. I know some of you may have heard of MI or mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is for the life of the loan for all FHA loans, right? So a FHA loan is typically used to get a borrower into a property, but not to stay in it because you're going to overpay over time. Once you reach a certain level of equity in your property, and we'll talk about that in a few more slides, you can do a refinance, change your loan type from an FHA over to conventional, and drop that mortgage insurance, ultimately lowering your payment because now you own more of the property. I have some other bullet points here. You see the 580, that is still the minimum score for FHA lending. There's just not banks out there doing it right now due to the uncertainty in the market right now. The other important bullet point is for student loans. Folks with student loans, a vast majority of Americans have student loans. Student loans are calculated by 1% of your balance that we have to add into your debt. Quick example, if someone has $100,000 in student loan debt, we must add $1,000 into their debt before we even get started. So that's something that's to be that you have to look into. And we can talk in the next slide. We'll talk about the conventional loan that we may have to go for you if your student loan balance is indeed high. Okay, we can go to the next slide, Keanna. Okay, so then the next is conventional. Conventional has as low as 3% down for owner-occupied single-family residence. That's a house, and that's a condo, that's a townhome. You can come in conventional on the property at 3% down. That has not changed from Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. Okay, they also have a 5% option for non-occupying co-borrowers. What that means, if indeed you have a borrower who wants to purchase a property and mom or dad or brother or sister wants to go on the loan to help them qualify to show more income, but they're not going to actually live in the home. They're going to be a non-occupying co-borrower. Conventional does have a product for that, and it has a minimum down payment of 5%. That seems to help a lot for a lot of the millennials that are looking to get into the market. They have some income, but it may not be enough to purchase what they want. Mom and dad comes in and helps with additional income as a non-occupying co-borrower. Have a lot of deals that are going that route. IDR or IBR, right, is an income-based repayment plan or income-driven repayment plan for student loans. Why is that important? Remember on the last slide when we spoke about FHA, there's 1% of the balance that has to be added into your debt-to-income ratio. And I'll explain what debt-to-income ratio is shortly. But what that means is if you are making a payment on your student loan, let's say that you still have that same $100,000 balance, but you've called up your student loan servicer and you said, hey, I'm working and I can't pay $1,000 a month for this. I can afford $100 a month. We are allowed to use that payment of $100 a month added to your debt, and that would be sufficient, right? So we're talking about $1,000 in some stance versus $100. Now that could mean a lot in terms of how much property you can purchase, right? So that's super important. So That's why, like what Keanna said, when you meet with your lender, when you meet with me, we sit down, we look at your financial makeup. We're gonna look at all of these things in detail to find the right program that's gonna work for you. Okay. Right now, the minimum credit score for a conventional loan is 680. That hasn't changed, but we have seen over the last 2 weeks, even though the guideline hasn't changed, we've seen more tightening in across the board from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac in terms of getting approvals on credit scores as low as 620. Even though that guideline has not changed, they're being a little bit more standoffish, if you will, to lower credit scores for conventional financing. So I would recommend we'd be looking at a minimum 680 and above if we're looking at a conventional loan, but that is particular and based on the individual. So meet with me or meet with a lender and get those questions answered because everybody's financial makeup is different. Okay, and the last word says max DTI 50% for credit worthy borrowers. So if you have a higher credit score, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac will allow you to push your debt to income ratio a little bit higher. Normally, their break even is 45%. High credit people, let's say over 700, we could typically push that over to 50%, being that you have good job history and you have decent assets in your bank account. So that's also really good information to know. Again, based on the individual. Okay, we can go to the next slide, Keanna. Okay, this slide talks about the actual loan process. So Keanna talked to you about the fun stuff. She got all the fun stuff out. Everyone loves to go shopping. It's all fun when you're shopping. But first, before you get shopping, you got to meet with me. And we got to go over the stuff sometimes that's not so fun. And so similar to Keanna, when she or any of my partners, business partners, send over someone that they've already had their kind of pre-conversation with and they feel is ready for the next step in terms of meeting with a lender, we have our process, and I have my process that I go through, and that most lenders are going to go through. And we're going to start with our hopes and dreams call, right? Just like Keanna said, whatever you are doing something as large as purchasing a home, it has to have meaning. You can't be doing it because your sister just bought a house and you sounds like a good idea, so now you want to do it. Because at the moment there's a challenge, you're going to give up, right? If I get to asking for paperwork that's in your garage that you haven't seen in 2 years since you filed it, I don't want to do that. You're going to give up really easy. But if it's tied to a bigger dream, like I want to create generational wealth for my family, you're not going to give up, right? And so we have the hopes and dreams call. We make sure that you're doing this for the right reasons, right? And at that point, we go through, we do an application for you. The application can be taken by multiple ways over the phone. Me personally, I have a secure mobile app that I like to share, or my realtor partners can share, my realtors partners can share with the clients. Excuse me, and they can complete the loan application on their phone, at home, in the confines of their bed, their couch, or wherever they are, at any time. Also, a great feature of that, you can upload your documents. It has a scanner embedded in the application. So you can do everything directly from your phone. And I also have a desktop version I can send to you via email if you like to complete it that way. So once that's in, I received all your documentation. I'm going to review everything in detail, and then we're gonna have another phone conversation and talk about what our next steps are. Right. So that means if indeed you're pre-approved, I'm going to say, hey, Mrs. So and so, you're going to be pre-approved for this amount. These are what we're looking at in terms of uh, your monthly payment estimate, how much your cash to close would be, so on and so forth. Also, if you are not ready, let's say there are some challenges on the credit, whatever the case may be, we're going to have a game plan for you at that time to put you on track. This is the most important part, is starting. So even if you feel like it's not ready for me, or my credit's not where I should, or I don't make enough, you should still meet with call your realtor partner or your friend, call a lender that you may know, call me, call Keanna, and let's get you started. Let us set you on the path, so you know exactly what you have to do to get yourself ready, even if you're not ready. Okay, so then like Keanna said, at that point, that's when you guys get out to go do the fun stuff. You're shopping, you're looking at countertops, you're looking at floors, you're doing all the HGTV things at that point, and things are fun. As you guys are writing offers, and at that time, once your offer is accepted, the green light begins. Okay, so at that time, things get real. Typically, your average contract here in California is about 30 days, right, give or take. Some are less, some are more, but on average, it's a 30-day escrow. So once your offer is accepted, In about 30 days, you will become a homeowner. And that sometimes people are like, oh, I want to buy a house, and they get freaked out once the offer gets accepted. Oh my God, it's about to happen. Yes, it's about to happen. And that's what me and Keanna are going to be right there to hold your hand throughout the process and get you to the finish line. At that time, Keanna kind of already briefly spoke on it. You'll have your inspection period. You have your home inspection. We'll have your appraisal. The appraisal is super important because that's to determine the value of the property. Like Keanna said, we're not going to have our buyers and borrowers buying properties upside down, right? So that's super important, right? And also the home inspection to make sure everything is in good standings. At that time, let's say everything comes back in well, the file moves on to processing and underwriting. At that time, uh, the underwriter will give you what's called a conditional approval. Okay, conditional approval. That's great news. That means you are almost there to the finish line. Okay, conditional approval means this loan is approved based on I need such and such items. That may be I need additional documentation about your student loans. I need additional documentation about the bankruptcy that you had 5 years ago. Whatever the case may be, we fulfill those conditions. We submit the file back to underwriting for final approval. And what Keanna said, the clear to close. For every real estate professional across the country, for every mortgage loan officer, there is almost not a better feeling than funding than the clear to close, right? That means we fulfilled all of our conditions. It's real. At this point now, we're probably days away from you becoming a homeowner, right? This is super, super important. This is when the juices get to flowing. You're calling you're calling U-Haul to get your truck ready. This is a really good time. With that point, we have a loan signing. You typically will be with a notary. Will come sign your final loan documents with you. And once that's happened, she kind of already briefly told you at that point, you sign your loan documents, the loan funds, the loan records, you get your keys, everything as well. The generational wealth begins at that point. Okay. So that is a brief run through of what the loan process looks like. Remember, it is individualized. I've been in this industry for I don't know how many years, and I have not run across one transaction that was the same as the other. They're all different, and everybody's situations are different. So I know you talk to your friends, your family, your colleagues. What happened to them or for them does not mean that's going to happen to you or for you, right? So understand that it's personalized to you and your situation. Let's go to the next slide, Keanna. Okay, so let me quickly address a question that Kelly asked, and this is super important. Is it a good time to refinance? Absolutely. Absolutely. It is a good time to refinance, but for the right reasons. The refinance has to make sense at this point, okay? It's not a time to refinance necessarily for rate. I know a lot of people that are super rate conscious don't want to hear that. This is an awesome time to refinance for debt consolidation. Like Keanna said, there is nearly $500 million in equity across this country that people have in their properties, right? But people are also paying 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 20% interest on credit cards. They have vehicles where they're paying astronomical amounts of interest on that per month. There's personal loans. There's just all types of loans that people have. They're paying excessive interest rates. So debt consolidation refinance is the best thing you could do at this point, if indeed there's enough equity in your property. That's the type of deal I would recommend. Or if you do have above average interest rate now, it'd be a good time to have speak with your mortgage loan officer and say, hey, can I get a better rate at a fair price right now? And then we can address that. We can look at your current value of your property. We can see if it makes sense. If it's going to save you $200 or $300 a month, it's a good deal. But nonetheless, the debt consolidation is the wave right now. I can tell you right now, I'm going through this right now on a few transactions with a few clients right now, where the client has come in, client has 9 credit cards, right? 9 credit cards that he's paying the minimum balance on. And we know what credit card interest does to us every month. It makes you feel like you're throwing your money in the hole because you just can't seem to pay it off fast enough, right? So what we did for him, we set him up on a plan, a debt consolidation refinance. And this is why I said don't be so rate conscious. Because right now he currently is in an interest rate of 3.75. Some people said that's a great rate. Why would you change the rate? He's going to go into a new loan at a little bit of a higher rate at 4%. But look what we're going to do. We're going to pay off nearly $20,000 of other credit debts that he has. We're going to pay off all the credit cards. One of the credit cards has 12% interest. He's going to consolidate all those credit card debts into the mortgage payment and pay 4%. Right? So you have to think about that. Strategy is most important in this time in terms of talking about a refinance, Kelly. So it's important to look at your financial history in its entirety. This is where we don't want to be throwing money away on interest per month, right? We want to keep our cash in our pockets because we are in a very uncertain time right now, right? So that would be the recommendation for someone who is looking to refinance. Let's look at it. Let's find out how much your property is currently valued. Let's look at those debts. Let's look across the board. What can we pay off to save you money? So in this case, he has a higher interest rate, but he's going to save $500 a month. What's more important? What's more important? I have an interest rate at 3.75, or I'm saving $500 a month on bills that I no longer have to pay, right? And essentially get out of some of that interest. Let's look at, there's a few more questions. I'm sorry, do I have time, Keanna, to answer a few more questions in the box?
Yes,
Okay.
you do.
Awesome.
We're good on time. We're running good on time. I know
Okay, great.
Rhonda asked, do we serve clients looking to purchase property outside of LA area? We both have partners outside of LA. Rhonda, I think you are in Texas, I believe. So we both have loan officers as well as agents in Texas that we can definitely connect you with. So contact me and I'll put you in contact with someone great who can service your needs. Jenny has a question.
Yeah, Jenny, if you have an FHA loan with PMI, is there ever a time where you wouldn't recommend refinancing to a conventional loan? Should you always refinance from FHA to conventional? Yes, you should always refinance from FHA to conventional when the time is right. When the time is right. So, Jenny, you want to make sure that you are at least 80% loan to value before you make that transaction, right? Because at that point, once you reach 80% loan to value, that's when you can remove PMI from a conventional loan, right? So in all loans that are 20% down or less require mortgage insurance. Let me briefly break into that real quick for those who are online who aren't sure of what PMI is or what mortgage insurance is. Mortgage insurance was put in place post 2008 to protect lenders. Remember, all the banks ran out of money because everyone defaulted on their loans and there was no insurance for them, right? And so now you have private mortgage insurance on all FHA loans and any loan that's conventional where the borrower puts down less than 20%. This is to protect the lender. If you do indeed default, they can make their money back. They can keep liquidity going and keep lending money out to others. But the question is, when is there ever a good time not to do it? I would not recommend doing it if indeed you don't have enough value in your property yet. That's going to be most important. So you can reach out to myself or reach out to Keanna and let us find out how much your property is worth and if it's going to be a benefit to you, right? Because if indeed, even if you just do a swap, we would call it a rate and term refinance. We're not necessarily actually taking money out, but we're going to change the rate and we're going to change the term, right? So the term is going to be from FHA to conventional, right? And the rate may change up or down, but nonetheless, if you're paying $200, $300, $400, $500 in mortgage insurance per month, that goes away. So even if you come up a little bit higher in the interest rate, maybe it's 40, 50, $60 difference in interest rate that it makes in your payment, you may drop a couple $100 by dropping that mortgage insurance. So it's important to know the value of the property before you do that, Jenny, and me and Keanna can help you with that.
Definitely. I know Kelly says that um, you feel like the value is about to tank again, like 2008. Now, honestly, feel like I know you are in Atlanta, right, Kelly? So I can't speak for Atlanta market, but I know I hear people, of course, the uh, the property values are much higher than Atlanta. So you have to kind of think about if you want, you know, half the price. We don't have a crystal ball. No one really knows, but I don't think the values are going to drop like they did in 2008. And
No, they won't. They won't.
we showed you in the previous slide how this is different from 2008. because 2008 was a housing market crash. Right now, we're having a health crisis. So it's a completely different thing. And in 2008, people were overextended in their equity and their mortgage and their value. So it was so out of balance. I mean, I think you went to, I had a fly spot, right? Down in West End, Atlanta. Remember that loft I had? And, it was, I got it for real low. And I was able to buy other properties because it was the property value kept going up, but it was inflated. It was inflated. It wasn't real. So then when everybody kind of realized it was kind of too late, so the money and equity we pulled out of those homes, you couldn't pay that because the mortgage went up, and it was just a big old mess. That's different situation than what we are in today. So only time will tell, but I honestly don't think that it'll do those rock bottom prices. The prices may decrease for sellers who have to sell, but not everybody has to sell. Try to make sure that you keep up on I know people are losing jobs. I know unemployment rate is up. People are unfortunately losing jobs during this health crisis. Um, so only time will tell. I mean, in 2008, you didn't have stimulus checks going out to the consumers. You didn't have this type of, I mean, $2 trillion going out to kind of bail us out of this. The only stimulus money and recovery were the big banks. They got, some stimulus money. I was one of those people who lost homes in that time in 2008. And I never received a check in the mail. All I got was bills, and so it's just a different time. It's a different time.
And let me add one thing to that. You're 100% correct, Keanna. The times are completely different. 2008 bubble crash, if you will, there was a lot of subprime lending, right? And so that is not the case today. Before 2008, you didn't even need a license to do mortgages. There was stated income back then. You could tell me you made $10,000 a month, and we went with it. And you might have been working at McDonald's making $9 an hour, right? And we put you in an adjustable rate mortgage at 2%, and that payment fit. But the moment that margin changed and that adjustment came, your mortgage payment went from $1,400 to $4,000, and that put people in a tight situation because they started living a lifestyle, right? That's when I came in the business. I was door knocking. People who were in default, and I would go up to the house and I would see brand new cars, boats, all this in the front, in the garage, and they haven't paid their mortgage in 4 months because it's adjusted, and now their mortgage payment went from $1,600 to $3,000, and they can't afford it anymore. And people were losing jobs at that time, right? Or hours were being cut at that time. So it's a lot different situation in terms of the value of property. I can speak to LA. We can speak to probably any of your larger metropolitan areas across the country. Atlanta is probably one of the most booming markets in terms of real estate. You will not see property values drastically drop in the midst of this, right? This is when wealth is transferred. So I'm super happy that we're having this conversation.
Right.
We've all heard the term when the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's what's happening right now, right? So the mindset of it's going to go down. If the property in Atlanta is worth 250 now, it's not going to go to 150. It's just not, that won't happen. You might see a dip. It might go from 250 down to 210, right? 215, right? You'll see a slight dip. The drastic drops will not happen like 2008 for all the reasons that Keanna stated. There's no subprime lending today. People are in fixed rate mortgages, right? So your payment will remain the same. As long as you can continue to make your payment, you're not going to lose your home, right? But also in 2008, we had an abundance of inventory that is not the same today. We are in housing shortages everywhere across the country for the most part, right? There's not enough homes for people to live in. We have people are living longer today. There's just more people here, right? And so all of these things are to be considered. We will not see the real estate market have the effect that it did in 2008. We will rebound from this. Like Keanna said, this too shall pass. So if you're in a position now where your job or your financial state is secure, this is the absolute best time to get into the market. For one, you're going to have less people to compete with. The sellers who need to sell, they're more amped to take you because they don't know how long this will last neither, right? So if Keanna writes that offer, they're like, hey, I'll take it. I have another agent who put in an offer and they accepted his offer for the simple fact that he had shorter closing times than all the rest of the people, right? And they need to get from under the property, right? So it's a whole different environment than we were in 2008. It's uncharted waters. Something like she said, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what will happen, but all the signs do not show 2008 in terms of property dropping, especially here in LA. People are, I mean, you almost need police to keep you inside because people are still trying to sell real estate. Um, like she said, how many homes have hit the market just this week? People are still selling real estate. My phone is ringing every day. I'm doing pre-approval still. People are still being pre-approved. Sellers are still selling. Buyers are still buying. Not what happened in 2008.
But this is where millionaires are made. If you have your ducats in a row, you have your money stacked, you've been saving, you've been waiting on this moment. It's time to pounce. It's time to act. Um, Jenny asks, is the process the same for buying commercial property? If not, any insight you can share? We can go over commercial. I also deal with commercial property. I recently had a commercial deal. That's a whole nother beast. So, Jenny, I can talk with you offline. You can contact me, and we can go over commercial property, definitely. And I can connect you if you're not in. I think, are you still in Atlanta? I can connect you with someone out in Atlanta if you do want to purchase commercial property. Um, are there any other questions? Let me show our contact information. Let me see how I can do this. Let me hide. I'm gonna hide Otis. Sorry for the shuffle. All right, this is our contact information. Jenny has a question. Otis,
Mortgages, can you buy one loan at a time? Let me correct me if I'm wrong in understanding your question. Um, so if you're buying a primary residence, you can typically only live in one place at a time, right? So you can only have one owner occupied loan at a time. But you can also have investment loans at a time. You can have as many as you can afford at any given time, as long as you have the income and assets to qualify for them and to upkeep that going. So you can there are options to do second homes as well. There have people who have second homes. You typically are going to have a primary residence, a second home, or an investment property. So you can have up to I have clients in my book of business that has 6 or 7 loans on different properties at any given time in their real estate portfolio. So that's a question that we could ask whether if those are commercial or residential mortgages. There's really not necessarily a limit. It's all about capacity. Do you have the capacity to hold X amount of loans at any given time? And I want to share one other quick story with you guys because I briefly talked about strategy, and this is I can't say it or push it enough that strategy is the most important key right now on this situation. You have to be strategic in the situation. I just had a client come to me, and this is literally just happened. They just moved into yesterday into their property. They gave me a call late February and said, "Hey, we need to move out. We actually have to be out of where we live by April 1st, right?" And no problem, Jenny. Anytime. And so we had our conversation. Found out what their needs were. Looked at their financials, and there was a 401k that they were wanting to leverage to use for the down payment. So I got them essentially going through the pre-approval process, but I'm looking at their financials. This is where having advisors is super important. I'm looking at their financials. They had quite a bit of credit card debt, few vehicle car payments that they were making that didn't have the balances weren't too high on. So I said, hey, how about we do this, right? And so I said, how about we take the money from the 401k that we were going to use for your down payment and we pay off some of these debts, which would lower your debt to income ratio, and we look into a down payment assistance program to help offset some of that cost. They said, Otis, what are you talking about? I said, let me show you. So what we did was we took $25,000 that they had from the 401k, right, and we paid off their credit cards and a car payment, right? So we essentially eliminated nearly $20,000 in debt. That was over $1,000 that they were paying per month. Then what we did, that got them into a position, into a ratio wise where they could qualify for a down payment assistance program. That down payment assistance program came in and covered the remaining amount of money that they needed, plus the surplus that they had left from the 401k. So essentially what they did was eliminate debt and still got into a property at the same time. So they're going to be saving nearly $1,000 a month and got a house, right? So strategy is most important in this time, more than anything. So make sure you're working with someone that's going to advise you in the correct way. Keanna is extremely valuable, and knowledgeable in the situation, and I pride myself on being an advisor. We're not here to just sell you a home. We're here to be your value partners for life, right? So we want to put you in the best financial position that you can be in. So strategy is most important. If you take anything away from this, make sure you set up with a good team, Keanna or myself or whoever it is you decide to work with. Make sure they have your best interests at heart and that there's a plan in place to put you in a position to be successful. Back to you, Keanna.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. That is awesome. I think that's it for the questions. If you have any other questions, definitely give us a call. I have our contact information was up on the screen. I definitely want to say support your small businesses. Make sure you support your small businesses. This is a hard time for a lot of businesses. And I have, let me see, there are a couple of businesses that I've come across that I enjoy out here in LA. Sip and Sunder out of Inglewood, they're having a fundraiser, a virtual fundraiser, and a 1 year celebration tomorrow. Make sure you check out their Instagram, Sip and Sunder, and also work with. Let's help keep South LA Cafe open. They have great avocado toast. They are a great pillar in our community. It's great, man, and they are great. They are always helping out the community. So make sure you do help them out if you can, because people are businesses. We want to see these businesses survive. As many small businesses as possible survive this. Um, Definitely, if you are an owner of a small business, let us know and we'll shoot out your information on Instagram, whatever. Just let us know. We want to help as many people as we can during all of this is going on. Let me see. You have anything else, Otis?
No, I just want to. I would just like to end with saying thank you for setting up this platform. This was great. The value that we have, and we want to make sure that we're continuing to give it. I like to thank everyone that took the time out to view it. I'm sure you had tons of other things you could be doing tonight, but thank you for tuning in. I know it's hard to get off the couch and put the ice cream down, but I'm glad that you did. So I just want to again thank you, Keanna, for the opportunity, and thanks to everyone that came in and participated with us.
Yes, thank you so much. And if you could be so kind as to fill out the survey. This is our first webinar, my first webinar. I go to tons of webinars. I listen to tons of webinars, but this is my first. So I want to just get some feedback. I put the link in the chat box. So if you could just click on that link for me, give us some feedback so we can improve the next one. Let us know what else you want to talk about. If you want to cover a commercial, we can bring some commercial people on. I know a few commercial people. Um, just let us know what you want to talk about. He said we're on lockdown. Yes, you have nowhere to
I
go.
know.
You should be going nowhere. If you have any additional questions, make sure you reach out to us. We have the contact information up. I'll try to send out a replay or save this or something. We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. And if you have any questions for either of us, contact us directly. And also, like I said, I know we have people tuning in from all over. So we have people in all over. Keller Williams, as you know, is a global company. Legacy Home Loans is growing. It's an excellent company. So we have, and Otis knows a lot of people across the country.
Absolutely.
You have an email? Yes, yes. I will add you, Jenny, to the email list so that if we have, whenever I have other sessions, I'll definitely include you. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedule to come and chat with us. We really appreciate it. And we did good on time. It's
Did
8:06.
great on time.
Be safe, stay home, wash your hands, all that good
Wash your
stuff.
hands.
Drink water, stay hydrated, stay healthy. If you need anything, let us know.
Thank you.
I don't know how to stop this.